Chase.
And in today's newscast, we'll be going back in time. 66 years ago, today on August 29th, the Soviets tested their first atomic bomb. The code name of this event was First Lightning.
This test was inspired by the Americans. Like them, the Soviets built a tower with which they would test their weapon. Aside from the instruments they had, they wanted to see the real damage the bomb could do. To make them able to observe this, they constructed a fake town. The Soviets constructed wooden and brick houses, bridges, tunnels, and water towers in the vicinity of the tower. They also put animals in cages to see the effects of the blast on them. 20 kilotons, roughly equal to eternity.
According to legend, the Soviets were honored for creating this bomb. If the scientists were to fail, they would have been shot. Here's a clip from the past of an interview with Igor Kurchatov, a scientist from the test.
Hi, I'm Jillian Oliver here with Igor Kurchatov. Igor has just detonated the first atomic bomb for the Soviet Union. How do you feel after this task?
All the scientists and I were very excited. I remember crying out, "It works, it works." I remember specifically Louis Karaton, the scientific director of Almazars, hugging Beria. Karaton said in an earlier interview, "We succeeded in solving this problem. We felt relief, even happiness, for in possessing such a weapon, we had removed the possibility of being used against the USSR with impunity."
What was your role in the Soviet atomic bomb testing?
I was the scientific director of the Soviet nuclear bomb program. I was also in charge of testing as a whole. I arrived to the site back in May. In the weeks leading up to the blast, I organized 2 rehearsals so everyone would know exactly what to do on shot day.
How would you guys have felt if you had not succeeded?
We would have been discouraged. However, we would have been scared. If this hadn't detonated, we would have been executed. All the scientists, including myself, who would have been executed, are honored as heroes of socialist labor. Those who would have been merely imprisoned were given the Order of Lenin, a slightly less prestigious award.
That was one of the scientists that was a part of the Soviet atomic bomb test.
Now we will be moving on to an eyewitness encounter interview.
This woman saw the explosion from miles away when the blast went off as an observer. Her name is Anna Babinski.
Here's a clip of an interview done with Anna on her experience.
I was 9 miles away and in a northern post. I had one of the best views of the blast. On top of the tower, an unbearably bright light blazed up. For a moment or so, it dimmed and then with a new force began to grow quickly. The white fireball engulfed the tower and the workshop and expanding rapidly. Changing color, it rushed upwards. The blast wave at the base sweeping in its past structures, stone houses, machines rolled like a billow from the center, mixing up stones, logs of wood, pieces of metal, and dust into one chaotic mass. The fireball raising and revolving turned orange-red. Then dark streaks appeared. Streams of dust, fragments of bricks, and rod were drawn in after it, as into a funnel. Here's a picture I saved from the testing.
That was a terrific encounter with Miss Anna Babinski. That must have been an interesting experience to watch.
Here is our last clip of an expert account with Louis Karaton telling us his point of view being a scientist during the time.
Hi, I'm here with Louis Karaton to discuss the Soviet Union's first atomic bomb. Did you feel a lot of pressure going into the event?
Looking back to how much we forced in getting everything perfect was a struggle.
Now it says here that you were with Igor Kurchatov, the scientist we showed a clip of earlier. Do you have any account of being with him?
Yes, I remember being in the same room as him when the bomb detonated. When it did, another scientist, Bera, hugged me.
What was your position in the testing?
I was the scientific director of Artemis.
Do you remember how you felt when the bomb detonated?
When we succeeded in solving this problem, we felt relief, even happiness. For in possessing such a weapon, we had removed the possibility of its being used against us with impunity.
Can you tell us anything about the size of the bomb from what you remember from your encounter?
The bomb had in fact yielded 20 kilotons, making it about the same size as the Trinity, the first U.S. atomic test. We had then both possesses the atomic bomb.
Thank you for speaking with me.
Here's an expert on the subject to tell us a little bit more of in-depth information on what happened after the
The
first.
USSR detonated its first nuclear bomb and is the world record holder for the place with the largest concentration of nuclear explosions in the world. 456 tests over 40 years from 1949 to 1989. While the tests carried out at the facility and its impact in terms of radiation exposure were kept under wraps by the Soviets until the facility closed in 1991. Scientists estimate that 200,000 people have had their health directly affected by the radiation. The desire to destroy foreign nations has led to the specter of nuclear contamination hanging over the heads of those who were once citizens of the USSR.
Here's a clip of the bomb exploding.
This concludes our broadcast. Thank you to Louis Karaton and Igor Kurchatov. It was fascinating to go back in time to remember this historic event. This was a 66th anniversary video of the first atomic bomb.
Thank you for watching Stay Classy San Diego.